Everything is fine here on Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast. I'm Mike, joined by Bogie, here to talk Star Wars with all you fans out there. Get the business elements out of the way really quick if you're listening to us right now. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, rate, review, comment, all the above. We greatly appreciate it. Any little thing you can do definitely helps us get our name out there amongst all the other Star Wars channels, and there are quite a bit. And as a reminder, once we hit 200 subscribers, we will do a prize giveaway where I will draw a name out of all the subscribers for our YouTube channel. So make sure your name is public so I know what name to put in the hat or whatever I will draw things out of. So Bogie, make sure you are subscribed so you have your opportunity to win a prize. I'm just kidding. If I drew your name, I would draw another name. I'll match whatever you would get, and I'll send out another prize. How about that? Make it fair. Um, Also, our chat is up and running, so drop any opinions, comments that you have, and we'll talk to you live as we're producing this episode. So, it's really late. A lot of things went on tonight, so we'll probably keep this pretty short, but we did want to make sure to jump on as promised and talk some Tales of the Underworld, the CAD Bane arc. So we talked through the Asajj Ventress arc last week. This week we will talk Tales of the Underworld, but yes, just Jay, my son took forever to get to bed, probably hour and a half, or maybe even longer. And then right before jumping on, I told Bogie, okay, I'm ready. Got the big blue screen of death that lasted way too long. And as we were chatting before going live, 100% never really means 100%. Because it was like updating or whatever it does when you get the blue screen of death and like reloading. And it was at 100% for about 10 minutes. And Bogie made the joke about Office Space. So it was a great callback right there. How you doing, Bogie?
Doing good.
Sorry to keep you up and keep you waiting.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only thing right now is I'm dragging. I'm a little tired. I was just like kept looking at my phone, waiting for your text, and then all of a sudden when you're like, okay, Jay's finally went down, I was like, okay, finally we can get this recording underway. And you're like, then you send me a screenshot of the blue screen of death. I was like, oh no, I know sometimes that can take forever to like reboot, I guess. Maybe that's what it was trying to do or
Yeah,
whatever. And
yeah.
and then you're texting me, it was like 20 minutes later, you're like, it's only at 10%. I was like, oh, I think I might just take a nap here.
Should have. You could have watched Tales of the Underworld another time, probably in the amount of time it took me since episodes are only like 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
but
got a quick question before we dive in is
yeah,
I know last week when we left off, we were gonna get into Cad Bane, it was getting late. And you said it wasn't your favorite between
yeah,
that and Asajj Ventress. You said you've rewatched it since. Thoughts still the same? You like the
yeah,
Asajj Ventress story a little more?
yeah. And I mean, maybe I'm a little biased. I mean, I really like Cad Bane's character. He's like awesome, but I feel like he's not as significant in like the Star Wars franchise compared to Asajj Ventress, especially how much she plays a role in like Clone Wars and everything. So I think maybe there's just more of an investment in her character. So
Okay,
watching
so
that
maybe
arc
that's where.
kind of meant more. Um, that I again that's not to say or a knock against anything about the Cad Bane arc because like two things can be good and you can still like one better than the other. And that's kind of how I felt about these. Like they both were good, but I like the Asajj Ventress. I I think I still like Tales of the Jedi better. But again, you've got Dooku who also plays quite a significant role in Star Wars in that. And Ahsoka Tano. So it's like those
Yeah.
characters are also more prevalent and more important in the Star Wars franchise. So maybe that plays a role in it. But they're all done very well. But other than that, I think I don't know. I understand like the stakes of what happened and like the betrayal in the Cad Bane arc. Um, but I don't know. It didn't seem to resonate as much as the Asajj Ventress art because I just thought that was really cool. But so curious, turn that question back on you because you mentioned that you liked this one more than the Asajj Ventress. So
Yeah.
what played a part in that?
Just like each story was like it felt like of the three episodes, you begin with is it so you got
N-
CAD Bane when actually his name was
Colby, right?
let's see, because I got the cast, yeah, Colby, which I thought that was kind of interesting. Because at
Yeah,
first I'm like, was the other guy that like kind of took those kids in? Was that Cad Bane? But I'm like, he looks a little more scruff in a different color, not a full blue.
yeah.
Like, okay, and then you find out between him and then what's his, is it Nero is the green one?
Nico or
Niro, Nero.
Nero or something? Neo. I have it written down as best friend Neo, but I could be
Okay.
wrong.
So I'm just, I
Well,
have,
I'll look it
I
up while you're talking.
I have IMDb up and I'm looking at the casting list.
Okay.
But anyways, I just liked seeing that kind of like first episode was them being as kids. Second episode, they were like, what do you call it? Middle age.
Yeah.
And then the next one is like they're like full grown adults. And you could see like how their like physique kind of looked different, especially Cad Bane by the third episode, because he was released from prison and he had all the kind of scratches and scuff marks like he's gone through a rough journey when he got thrown into prison.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. I want to know what because I think when Nero becomes the marshal and they're like Cad Bane has been released and he goes, of course the court systems always fail you.
Yeah.
Like he should be in prison a lot longer. But going back, I like it when seeing them as kids and they were kind of like what do you call it? Like alley feeders of like because
Yeah.
their
Like street
parents.
rats, alley cats, or whatever
Yeah,
you want to
street
call.
rats, yeah. And they were just causing mischief, trying to steal food because they were starving, because they were pretty much living on their own. And even though they weren't brothers, they acted like they were just, wholehearted brothers
Yeah.
trying to just survive.
They wanted
And
them crunchies, man. They
those
were
crunchies, yeah.
which looked like
What's
I don't
the
was that like another name for candy because it looked like a few different things,
it looked
but
like Cocoa Pebbles, like, and then
sounds
whatever
like
the
just sounds like a another name for like some kind of drugs or something like give me them crunchies, man.
crunchies. Um, But yeah, what's the name? I'm trying to figure out what's the name of the bounty hunter that like takes him in.
I can't recall that.
Yeah,
I was trying to
there's
figure
some
that out, but
there's
I
a
can
lot of
look.
like weird names in the that they had in the show that I was like, oh, I can't remember who that was.
Tales of the Underworld episodes. Because that would have been episode 4 in the beginning of 5, right?
Yeah,
Maybe like was his name wasn't like a Bane or something, was it?
no, not that I see in my list. Because
I was
some
born
of
in
these
the
are just
dark.
these are showing like in my list shows like the voice actor's face, and I was like, I want to see the character's face to help put the names together.
Yeah, so yeah, Colby and Nero doesn't say his name here. Maybe they
Because
never even
he
said his name.
They say it one. I know they say it once when um Cad Bane in that fifth episode when the ship comes back. He's like, "That's my old home world," but he told him like, "No, stay back."
Okay,
But
maybe
their ship comes back and it crash lands, and he's not there, but they have his hat,
yep.
and what's his name asks like, "Where's he at?" Cad Bane does, and he's like, he didn't make it, and that's what I'm trying to remember what it was.
Because they have I don't even see him casted in here. They have Gangster. All cast and crew.
But
Let's try this. No, now I'm determined. So they have Aaron, which is that turns out to be like the love interest. Cad Bane, Gangster, Lawman, and Nero. So maybe they didn't even name drop them. What you can also do is who was Cad Bane
Enter.
mentor? And says Django Fett. Nope, that's not what we're looking for. Oh, Laszlo?
Okay. That's what I see a Laszlo, and I was like, that has to be it.
Yeah, it's Laszlo.
Yep. Oh yeah, okay. Yep.
Okay, we got
But
that
I
figured out.
loved like his kind of like story arc, how he kind of like took the kids in, but like groomed them from young age to do more mischief because he was like, I could use when he saw them doing stuff, he's like, I could use someone like that. Um, Especially when their first mission was that where the Cocoa Pebbles were. They must have had like I want to know what was in that back room that people were showing up. Were they playing like c cards back there or something?
Definitely some gambling or some like drugs or like stuff like that for sure.
Because the one fat one that would open the door, he goes, well, maybe you'll win something this time. Welcome back. And so I'm like thinking they got to be doing some sort of gambling of some sort.
Yeah, some
Then
underworld
how,
type shiz.
but then how he recruits the two kids, and then they like make a distraction in the alleyway, what makes them come out with their security droids to distract them so they could go in and steal all those coins. Because I wonder what those coins are. Because the guy that owned the shop, when he like cleans it, and he's like, "Where'd you get this?"
Yeah,
And they're like, "Oh, we earned it."
yeah,
And that's how they were able to buy all their crunchies and everything.
yeah. He puts
Um,
it in his little like mouth thing,
yeah, that
whatever.
was kind of like that was
It's
like
kind of
okay,
gross,
that's
but
yeah. bo- both the boys just like look at each other like, ugh.
the heck, that one's yours.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
And then to lead up to like that final scene where in that in trying to rob that shop with the whatever gambling money because they come out with all the coins. Just the kids when like because they killed the big dude,
mhm.
um, Leslo does, and then they just stood there in shock, it's like the first time they saw someone get killed.
Yeah,
And I was like, "Come on, boys, run!" Like you can hear the droids and or the police showing up or whatever. And of course, then when they're running, it's like I saw you guys run faster like earlier in the episode. How are you running so slow?
yeah,
Especially what's his name? He was like tripping over his Nero was like tripping over
yeah,
his own feet. So like, that's where he like falls behind and not even try to like clearly maybe not as athletic as Cad Bane because he like slid over the hood of the car and
right.
got away.
Yeah,
Um,
Cad Bane was definitely more like slick and I don't know, a little more built for the job than Nero was, and that's probably why like Laszlo, once Cad Bane was in the vehicle, like when Nero got apprehended, they're like, "We're going." He got caught. Screw you. We're moving on.
well, I love how he was like, I feel really sorry about your friend. That's my bad news, but my good news is you get his share. And he
Yeah,
drops all the coins in his hands.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
you see that? No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and I liked before that where um Laszlo is like, oh, okay, I like this um Colby guy because when they made the deal and accepted the deal, Cad or Colby was like, but you need to double it.
Yeah,
So it's like, all right, you got a businessman to your
yeah.
personality too, so that'll work well.
Because yeah, it wasn't Nero was like kind of like this seems dangerous. I don't want to do it.
Yep.
And Colby was like, yeah, you're right. It is dangerous. Turns around, he goes, make that double, like because he was offering
Yeah.
five, and he's like, make that 10
Yeah.
coins.
No, and I do like how, because the theme of this whole thing was betrayal. I feel like for both arcs. And with this arc, it's like each episode had an element of betrayal in it as well. So in the first episode, so episode 4, The Good Life, the betrayal is kind of, well, Colby leaving Nero behind as they're getting away. Like there's a betrayal there. And there's also a betrayal of, you know, like we said, Nero's like, this is too dangerous. And then Colby accepted it. So it's kind of like a betrayal to like their lives and everything, because you're like, all right, we're going down the world, we're going into crime. So we're betraying our non-criminal lives here. And then episode 5, A Good Turn, you get the betrayal of like the love interest, because she like throws his weapon away as they're getting apprehended, or he's getting apprehended. And then of course episode 6 is the betrayal that he ends up shooting and killing Nero, and betraying his son that we come to find out to be. So it's like each episode had some elements of betrayal in it, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, and then kind of like the whole the second episode of this of the Cad Bane, just seeing how dark he kind of went in a way, where he was lighthearted as a kid, but now he's like middle aged and he's wanting action, um, clearly hooking up with Aaron. And the whole time I was watching it, I was like, she keeps walking around like concerned about him like wanting revenge. He's gonna get himself hurt. She keeps telling him let him go. And there's times where she's walking, she's holding her like her belly. And I was like, is she pregnant?
Oh, so you were catching that the first time you were watching it?
Yeah. And then I caught it even more in like watching it a second time through.
Okay.
So I was like, and I think kind of wanted to like hypothesize that last week, but we didn't get into Cad Bane, so I had plenty of time to watch it again. And then yeah, because like when they show Isaac, the kid, I was like, but okay, I don't know how the genetics works, but if she's green and
Yeah,
like when they just have a green child, but the blue made me think like that Cad Bane's child. And
right.
then yeah, it confirms at the end, and I kind of like I was a little tearied up too when they have their shootout, and then Cad Bane comes up to him. He's going to like finish him off while Isaac is like crying over his like dying body,
Yeah.
and Cad Bane's like, "You took everything from me," and then he like grabs Isaac's face and like rubs it and kind of is like, "Not everything." Right there, I'm like, okay, that was the giveaway right there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I definitely did not catch on to that in the second episode of the Cad Bane. Um, but in the third episode, when I saw that the kid was blue, I'm like, okay, wait a minute here. That's probably Cad Bane's. And like you mentioned, it solidified it in the end. But good catch if you were seeing that in the second episode, because I was not figuring that out.
yeah,
So
because yeah, totally Aaron and Cad Bane were like really close, you could tell, and I was like not seeing any sort of like romance too much because it was just all of a sudden like Terminator mode for Cad Bane when he found out his mentor was killed.
yeah,
He wanted revenge on the marshal before. Um, so and you could tell, like I said, she just had these concerns. Like I said, clearly the one scene when they're on the ship, she's like holding her, kind of like holding your stomach like you're having a stomach ache. But I was like, why are you walking and holding it like that? Like, so she probably knew but didn't tell him,
yeah, for
and
sure.
and that's why then she was always concerned about like can we just let this go?
Yeah, that's why
And
she wanted him out of that life, because it's like
yeah,
you got another life ahead of you
hmm
that's more precious and more important, and you're no good to your kid if you're either in jail or dead at
And then
worst. So
it's sad for like Aaron's story and I guess Cad Bane if they were like lovers, but then um Nero comes in and it kind of looked like I'm sure because like his bounty buddies when he finally flies in tells him like, oh, you're not gonna like to hear this rumor that we've been hearing that Aaron hooked up with your buddy and got married and had a kid. So he probably all he knows is like that's not his kid.
yeah,
Um, and then to hear like you don't even see the return of like an adult Aaron. They talk about her and they're like, yeah, she died a couple years ago.
yep.
Because I think wasn't his main mission was to go back and like kill her for revenge for betraying him.
Cad Bane's.
Yeah, Cad Bane wanted it. He was going back to that planet to find her, I thought.
I think. Well, I was thinking he came back for Nero, but maybe probably both, one way or another.
Because Nero didn't really do anything to betray him. He didn't shoot at him. It was like after the
Well, he
Marshall.
apprehended him. He sent him to jail.
Well, he kind of just stood there. All the droids like
Right.
circled him after Aaron took his gun and tossed it. It was like, and he because he turns around and looks at her all pissed off and says, tr "You're a traitor."
Well, I mean, he was dating. I don't know if they got married or anything, but he was with Aaron, even though that Colby or Cad Bane was no longer there. I mean, if you're Cad Bane, you're probably still getting upset that
Yeah,
your
I don't think.
your supposed best friend is hooking up with your love interest.
Yeah, after he finds out when he shows up to the planet and his other smuggler buddies like tell him, "Oh, you got to hear
But
this."
maybe he knew ahead of time too. I don't, well, maybe not. I don't know. If he didn't know, then that's a good question.
Hmm.
I my opinion would be if he didn't know about the hookup, he was coming back to seek revenge on Nero for sending him away. Because even though the droids like apprehend him, he after the previous marshal was killed, that those duties fell on to Nero. So Nero would have been the one to like send him off or sentence him to jail.
But do we really know that for sure? Just because there's just a big time jump of like age, I don't think he just automatically became the marshal.
That was just my interpretation, just from the content that we were given.
Because I
It,
thought in
it
the
could have been someone in between, but
yeah,
I just assumed that um Nero took over afterwards.
I'm assuming seeing how old Isaac looked like. I mean, or didn't they say how long his sentence was? And after
It was supposed to be like 10 years and he served 7 of it or something like
yeah,
that.
so 7 years later, I'd imagine because it seemed like there was a lot of growth that I always keep forgetting these names. Nero had a I don't know mature maybe still.
Yeah.
Because the marshal before seemed to be very hesitant. He even told him like stay behind, stay out of this fight. So
And what was in the second episode, what was the last line that Cad Bane said? Wasn't it about something about revenge?
um
And I thought that was pointed towards Nero.
see, and that's where I think it was pointed towards Aaron.
And it could have been both. I mean, probably, I mean, based off of what happened, I mean, he's probably pissed off at both Aaron and Nero. Because who knows, maybe Aaron spoke to Nero before that to give an indication because like they didn't give a nod or anything, did they? Between Nero and Aaron when they were in the standoff. Because she like when she kicked away or took Cad Bane's weapon, was there like any indication that there was communication between Nero and Aaron?
No,
Again, I
because I
haven't
mean he
seen it as
was
recently as you have, so I'm just trying to recall from it.
because he later on, let's see. So he was across the street when the former marshal got shot.
Yeah,
And then at one point when all more of like the droid cops show up and kind of surround him, and that's also too like through the crossfire from the marshal and Cad Bane, the marshal's one of his shots must have hit Aaron in the shoulder.
yep, yep,
So she was down and it's like, okay, she's down out of the fight.
yep,
Um, so then I think that's when Nero came up and took the marshal's weapon because he didn't have one.
right.
And but the whole time he just kind of had it up. He wasn't really pointing. He just had it up because Cad Bane had holstered his, but it was like it's over.
Yeah,
And then that's when um Aaron had taken the gun. She's like, "They were gonna kill you," like
yeah,
because she's thinking about her future and wants him alive to be the father. So
yeah. Because any
that's why,
move Cad Bane makes right there, he's gone.
yeah.
But either way, he wanted revenge on either Aaron, on Nero, or maybe both, which is what brought him back. Um, and all of his fellow like cops were warning him, like, man, he's coming back for you. Like, why are you just going to brush this off? And he's like, no, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. And we as
Yeah.
watchers are like, you're an idiot. Like, you know what's going to happen. So, and it's unfortunate, but I don't know. It made his character really cool and badass. And um, I recently also watched the season of Book of Boba Fett, and he's in that, and oh, it's so good. Oh, one question I had: did his voice change in the second episode throughout the duration of the second episode?
Yep. I
Okay.
think well definitely the kid when they're the first one when they're kids.
Well, yeah,
It's
but I just within the span of the second episode, at the beginning of the episode, he talked more like, I don't know, he seemed like a teenager whose voice was like crackling. And then by the end of the episode, he had like his normal like Cad Bane voice, I thought.
it could have been when he like when he kind of turned like
Put
when
on the hat. Mm-hmm.
yeah when his puts the head on and kind of starts his revenge journey.
Yeah.
I think that's or it's like a rage voice that turns on in a way.
It's like as soon as he went from Colby to Cad Bane, that's when that like voice changed. So he was like personifying a new individual almost.
I do like how the whole transformation of Laszlo to Cad Bane and how he like takes kind of like pretty much takes or adopts his persona with like the whole outfit and the hat and then the toothpick.
Oh yeah.
I was like, that's kick. So now we know where the origin story of like where he got the idea to like have that kind of persona outfit that he has.
Yeah.
I just love
Yeah.
the toothpick thing.
Yeah. And he's definitely like personifying that mentor Laszlo
hmm
for the rest of his life. Because I mean, when you first meet Laszlo, he's kind of leaning up against the wall with his like hat down,
Oh
and
yeah,
you're
with
like,
his hat down and
it's
just
like that's Cad Bane. I mean, not that it is Cad Bane, but that's what Cad Bane, how he presents himself. So
that's why I was saying
you
earlier
knew it
that
was a mentor coming.
yeah. That when he was seeing them doing riff raff as kids and he saw him kind of it was like kind of dark. You couldn't tell that he was green,
Yeah,
but like
at
it
that
was kind of
point.
he was kind of like in the shadows with his hat down and he saw the toothpick. I'm like, oh, okay, so that's Cad Bane then. And then finding out no, it wasn't, but it's his mentor.
Yeah,
So
so pretty cool. I think Ryan's in the chat, or I was earlier. I didn't
oh, he
see it
saw
till now. He just said it's fine. Cad Bane was secretly on gear. He's probably responding to something we said probably 20 minutes ago, so I can't remember. Ryan, if you're listening, did you watch these episodes? I think you're still on, but we'll find out. Yeah, so now you got to watch Tales of the Empire, and I'm curious um what your thoughts on that show is or
yeah.
are.
I'll put that on the list for potentially next week. We can talk about it if I get through it.
And then you can dive back into Clone Wars, right?
Right.
You can get some more Cad Bane and um, you know, a lot of these characters. I mean, Tales of the Underworld, you follow, or not Underworld, Tales of the Empire, you follow Barriss Ophi and who was the other one? Oh, Morgan Elsbeth.
See, I have
So,
no idea who that is, but I'm guessing on Clone Wars.
well, Morgan Elsbeth is in Mandalorian and the Ahsoka show. So Morgan Elsbeth is the Night Sister
Oh, her. Yeah. Okay.
who was like the leader of that town
Yep.
with the big spear. So that's Morgan Elsbeth. That's the first arc of Tales of the Empire, and then the second arc is Barriss Ophi, and she's from Clone Wars. I won't try and I won't give away too much. You probably have seen stuff because I know you watch like stuff on YouTube, so you've gotten a lot of information about Clone Wars on that.
hmm
So do you know the story about like Ahsoka and why she left the Jedi Order?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I've seen a little bit. Stuff has been spoiled.
So she was framed for blowing up a portion of the Jedi Temple, and the person who framed her was Barriss Offee, who was a Padawan uh, and of another Jedi who was, and the Padawan was a friend of Ahsoka. So they're training. Ahsoka and Barriss Offee are like the same age, training, like going to school together. Essentially, they're
Mhm.
classmates. We'll call it. And they became friends. And then Barriss Offee ended up framing her for the bomb or for blowing up the temple. So this story picks up with Barriss Offee as Order 66 is happening because she's in jail for because they end up finding out the truth and everything that happened. So Barriss Offee gets sent to jail, and this takes place from that moving forward.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, watch it and let me know what you think.
Yeah, for sure. And then I was watching someone do a little analysis of the Underworld of just
Yeah.
you have a Saw's Ventress arc where it's like she was bad, you know, but then in this series, like she had a redemption arc
Mm-hmm.
of doing good, where then here, Cad Bane, it's like this betrayal, and instead of like redeeming himself for his actions in the second episode, and like making peace with God, what's
Nero.
his name? Yeah,
Nero.
Nero. Instead, he kills him and he pretty much just walks away. So it's almost like he ended up betraying. So like the whole
Yeah.
arc.
So Asajj is like a redemption tale,
Yeah,
and Cad Bane is kind
is
of like
a betrayal
betrayal
story.
falling deeper story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like Asajj Ventress's overall arc. She's one of the most captivating characters in like Clone Wars, in like all the animated series, because obviously she's not in live action. I'm wondering if we'll get her in the second season of Ahsoka. She might appear. But in terms of animation, her, Ahsoka, they're two of the top characters and all of that. So I really love any content that we get, and it's a fascinating story. Bad turning good. Um, we get a lot of good turning bad, but we don't get much of the bad turning. I mean, you can argue that Darth Vader turned good at the end, but like
He's pretty much dying
he's dying.
as
Yeah,
he's turning good.
exactly.
Where
With
you kid
Asajj Ventress, it's like a series of events because that I mean, it's even before the show that she kind of starts turning. Like the Dark Disciples, the book, she's helping out Quinlan Voss, so she's kind of turning there. And then if you watch the Bad Batch, she's helping out the clone or the um Clone Force 99, I think they call it. So that's the Bad Batch. She's
Mhm.
helping them out too. So she's helping good guys. So, they the redemption arc has been developing over some time with her, which I think is pretty cool. Um, a story I still want to see is Revan, who's a Jedi that turned to the dark side and then turned back to the light side for an extended period of time. And if I remember correctly, it was because of like dementia that he turned good again. I forget. I have to brush up on my um Legends knowledge, but I want to say something like it. He forgot his past, so that's why he was good again. But Revan's a fascinating character. Everyone wants what's his face to portray him.
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves.
I saw that.
like,
Revan's in the video games, right?
yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
I think he's in the second one, if I'm remembering correctly. But I can see like Keanu Reeves' persona, but like I, I have a hard time seeing him like voicing him.
Right.
But
And then you just try to like make a John Wick version, but just give him a cloak
cloak
instead
and
of a
some
suit.
lightsabers.
Yeah.
instead of killing his dog, it'll be like killing his loath cat or something. I don't know. But
No, it's
uh
killing his tauntaun.
killing how dare you kill my tauntaun?
I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Whenever I hear like I also there's so many moments where I think of like the Family Guy episodes, even though it's just like mocking like the actual Star Wars, because like I thought they smelled bad on the or on the outside. They do that in the Family Guy episode, and that's all I can think of now when I hear that line is
Or he's is it is he
Peter
just like
Griffin. Yeah. And I thought
yeah, had to take a breath after every word. Like
yeah. Oh, it's like Weird Al Yankovic when he like remade some of the songs. Now, when I listen to certain songs, I think of Weird Al Yankovic before I think of like the original. Like I think of like Beat It from Michael Jackson.
oh
I think
yeah.
of Eat It from Weird Al Yankovic. Eat it. But
Yeah,
anyways,
speaking of
what?
music, I thought the kind of like the soundtrack quality for the Bane arc was really good. It had this like kind of like this trumpet noise that I remember from Enemy at the Gates.
Oh, okay.
Like
That's pretty
no no no
cool.
no.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like you just said it's like something you're it's like the music just makes you anticipate, oh shit's gonna hit the fan here.
That's awesome. No, I didn't think of the Enemy of the Gates, but yeah. And I also got like similar to the Asajj Ventress arc, there was definitely some like Western tones and
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
music as well. Definitely felt like, shootout at the OK Corral when Nero and Cad Bane are facing off. And, whenever Cad Bane comes on the stage, that's the like sense they're giving it. Like
The
that's
vibe.
the vibe is this Western vibe. Again, Book of Boba Fett when I was watching him. I mean, straight out of a Western movie when he shows up and has that shootout with Cobb Vanth and his deputies. So um yeah,
I
and
heard
I think I said last time I love Westerns, so I love those elements to it.
I heard they were trying to imitate. You probably have seen the Clint Eastwood spaghetti westerns, right?
Yeah, I've seen some of those.
Like few dollars more, or um, because he's in that one and he's also in the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Good, bad, ugly. Yep.
Levan Khalif.
Yep.
If you know what I'm talking about with the mustache, and
Yep.
he's the one that had the flat brim
The flat
hat
hat.
and all these like unique weapons. And ever said, or I think I read an interview that that was the whole idea was to take that person and make him a Western alien character in Star Wars, and it kind of matches from everything I could tell.
Yep. And whoever made the decision for the voice is spot on. Like
Oh, yeah, that
you can't get a
really,
better voice for Cad Bane than what they have. It's very raspy, very like grainy, but dark and like intentional. So
and
yeah.
that's usually what you saw in all the Western movies is,
Hmm.
and you could tell like the person I just said or Clint Eastwood, they definitely had a raspy voice in their
Yeah.
Western movies, and then you watch a different movie and they don't exactly have that you could tell they changed it, and then which is the whole idea of acting is having the ability to have a range of changing your voice,
Yeah.
changing your acting style depending on the character and the script.
Yep.
So, but yeah, no, I totally agree. I think they knock it out of the park whoever they casted, um, because he's pretty much he's the same voice in Book of Boba Fett and in like the animated Clone Wars and everything,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So they
Same
just
voice.
I'm glad they keep being able to bring these voice actors back and not be like just surprised, be like, ugh,
Yeah.
who's that voice?
Yeah. Because it when you have a voice change, it really kind of takes you out of it, meaning like, suspension of disbelief, it takes it away for that character. So it's really important to maintain the same voice. So when they did that with Thrawn, that was really important too. And I know like people have been waiting a while. When you knew that Ahsoka was coming out and that Thrawn was going to be it, everyone was like, well, you've got to have the same voice actor play it. Like, how can you not? And so when they announced that it was, everyone was like, oh, thank God. So that we can at least, have some continuation and it makes more sense by hearing that voice with that character.
Yep, I totally agree.
Um, which I've been also listening to the audiobook. What is it? I had it right with me. It's the first original Thrawn book. I'm totally frustrated at myself that I can't think of it. Anyways, listening to the audiobook, the voice isn't the same, but it's very close. So it helps in that regard as well. And because they do like they have actors when you read or listen to it in audiobook. That's what I love audiobooks because like they'll have different voices for different characters. So it's almost like you're listening to a show versus like reading something.
Hmm.
My preference is still to read the book, but it's just harder to find the time to read a book these days. So
You can just
listening to
throw it
the
on in the background while
yeah,
you're doing something.
listening to the audio book. So um it was great that they used a similar voice, but they're not going to be able to get like an actor like what's his name, Mickelson, or
Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen.
it's not like they're going to get him to read an audio book. So is he struggling for work? Um, but yeah. So anything else that you want to talk about with the Cad Bane arc or any either of the arcs for Tales of the Underworld?
No, I've just been enjoying it once I get through Tales of the Empire. Um, I think they're enjoyable short stories. So I mean, I hope they keep making more of them.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure they will. And I think they're kind of like testing grounds for, all right, let's see what characters like people might want more content on. Um, but I love them. I agree. I hope they keep doing them. They're short, they're easy. So I shouldn't say easy. They're short. Um, so I don't see why not. And they still haven't done Tales of the Sith. If they did Tales of the Jedi, you gotta think that they're gonna do Tales of the Sith. And then maybe they'll do like Tales of the Resistance or Tales of the Republic, or there's endless amount of things. Tales of the Clones.
Tales of
There's
the Ewoks. We'll
Tales of
finally
the
figure out, do they
Ewoks.
actually eat people?
Yeah, that's a series that we might be frightened to see if they actually bring it. When you play Battlefront and you do the Ewok hunt, man, that's freaking scary. Have you ever played that?
Yeah, it's intense.
Because they're small and it's in the dark and you can't see anything, and then all of a sudden these Ewoks just like like
Yeah,
get
you're
you.
like,
It's
oh
like,
my God.
damn it.
I
But
like the some of the whoever's making the content on either I've seen it on Facebook video feeds or on TikTok where the stormtroopers holding the phone and doing like a
mm,
self-recording. He's like, Larry fucking over here got us in trouble and stole Vader's helmet. Now we're on
yeah.
Tatooine combing the field, or and just all these things. Like, and it just keeps jumping from like scene to scene. He's like, "Oh, Vader now just sent us down to do cleaning," and he can tell he's gonna mop and everything. He's like, "Ah, damn it, Larry just flooded this floor." Like,
And I love that Greg is one of the stormtroopers that gets
oh yeah,
named in many of them. So I just think of Greg from our channel. So I was definitely sending them to Greg as I was hearing them. It's like, thanks to Greg, we're now doing mop up duty on the Death Star. And then there was another one that like, I hope we don't fuck this up this time. I really do not want to be sent back to Hoth.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
And
yeah,
then there
that
were like when they go to where the Ewoks are, I can't think of it.
Endor.
Endor. He's like, we just landed on Andor and we just saw these little furballs running around. I'm kind of scared. And all of a sudden it shows them running. They're like, oh shit, this one has a fucking spear.
Oh, that's hilarious. You mentioned combing what did you say,
Combing the field,
combing the field made me
combing
think
the sand.
of Spaceballs,
That's what that's where I was trying to
which
reference.
makes me think of something else. So it was announced that we're getting a second Spaceballs. So when that comes out, I mean, it's not Star Wars, but we're gonna watch that and react to it because it's making fun of space or Star Wars. So
Yeah,
you
the
you better,
parody.
it's a parody. You better believe that we're gonna bring that into this show. But just want to
Now we
announce
might have to
that.
just do like a homework rewatch of the first one and talk about it leading up to the
Yeah,
second one.
yeah, we should. We'll
There's some
rewatch the original and react to it like it's the first, well, not the first time, but yeah, no, that's a great idea. I think we should do that. I love
to
that.
help with content since it looks like we might slow down a little bit.
Right. Prepare to fast forward. Why are we always preparing? Just do it.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I love it. And the only other news bit that I'll speak to is I know we've been giving Andor a lot of praise, and it seems like the streaming industry is doing something similar because it was announced that they are the number one show on all streaming services. They hit that mark in the finale week of it. So congratulations to Andor for being the number one show. And it makes sense. I mean, it was done very well. But at the same time, there's like not that many standout shows I feel like going on so far this year. Um, I know Last of Us released, but I feel like I haven't seen the second season, but I've heard good and bad things about it. So
Yeah, there's a lot of mixed feelings. Even when
mixed,
I watched it, there was a few episodes I was like, meh, that was a filler dud.
yeah.
Um,
So Andor hit harder and hit better than Last of Us season two to you?
yep. And mainly because have you played the game or no?
Yeah, I played the
Spoiled.
game. I
Okay.
know the whole story, so
So
there's no spoilers.
I think I knew that was coming. I didn't know it was going to come that fast. It came pretty fast, and I was like, okay, what are they going to do to fill the rest of the season out? So that's why they had some kind of episodes where it's just like a ton of dialogue, and you don't see a single clicker. Where it's
Oh,
like
really?
in the game, you're like constantly running into them. It's either them. I mean, you get to see a lot more of like the different factions. I guess
Sure.
you have like whatever Abby's group that she's part of, and then you got like they call them the Scars, where they have the scars and they live like in the forest and they're like worship
Hmm.
this god.
Hmm.
Like you get quite a bit of that, but I was like, nah, I don't know.
The game
And
was
then
so good.
what?
The game was so good
Oh yeah,
of
yeah.
Last of Us. That's why I mean, and season one was really good. The show, season one was great.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I'm just disappointed to hear second season is kind of not as good because,
There was just one scene that was really cringe-worthy. It was when uh Ellie and Dina are like trying to go hunt down the people that killed,
yeah, yep,
spoiler alert. But they're held up
I know. So,
yeah, they're held up in the theater,
yep,
and in the game, that's where they kind of like t show each other's emotions toward each other and start like, fooling around.
yeah,
And Dina also tells her that how she's pregnant,
mm,
and Ellie's like, "What the? Why did you?" In the game, was like pissed
yeah,
and was like, "Why you tell me now? And why did you come with me? You should have stayed in Jackson."
yeah,
She goes, "Well, I didn't know until like partway through the journey that she was like puking and feeling nauseous, and
yeah,
took like a test or whatever." Um, but like in the movie when she breaks the news, you just see Ellie's face. She's like, "I'm gonna be a dad."
oh
Oh,
gosh,
and I was like, "Oh my God."
that's not how it went.
If it's just trying to make that narrative that shows try to make nowadays,
Yeah,
like, you don't-
well,
why did you have to say that?
well, it,
You say
yeah,
something basic like we're gonna raise this kid together.
yeah.
Something basic like that. Not when you're technically female and you're like, I'm gonna be a dad. It's like, oh,
Well, and it's just what would be more for me is like that's not how the story goes.
yeah, it's not how it was written in the game.
That's not, yeah. And for any, like, I would have to believe that a majority of the people that were first watching this show were people that played the game.
Oh yeah.
Because if you had an interest in the game, you're going to have an interest in the show. Now, that's not to say that there weren't people that hadn't played the game to watch it. Oh, sure, there's probably plenty of them. But a majority of the people were probably people who play the game. They're going to know the differences that you make in that. And that, like, I like the first season, but the only thing that took me away a little bit was it was not about spores anymore.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
that was a key element to the game. Like, you had to have your face, you had to have the gas mask on at certain points, and that's how it all spread. So because when they took the spores out of it, it's like it's just it's not entirely the same. So all that just saying, like when you change things from the original story, when your audience is primarily people who are familiar with that story, you're probably going to get a little kickback for it. So
Well, I'll let you watch season two.
yeah.
They might have fixed that. Just letting you know.
Oh, so it's now spores? You can tell
Uh,
me.
yeah,
They probably do you think they got some backlash because of it or because
yeah.
even
That's
when they
what
talk about the making of it, they said that it was too challenging to have it be done with spores
I tried to
because
explain and try to explain it.
because how do you visually really show that?
Yeah,
Uh
that was another thing. How do you show it?
yeah. So I understood that, but it just kind of took away. So now they're backtracking and making it spores. Okay.
I don't remember if like the second game dove into it too, like more than the first game.
But the spores aspect of it?
Yeah.
No, I think that
I
was
know
more
there was moments in the first game, but I thought it was more heavy in the second one.
like the story more heavy
Of the spores.
or the
Like you always had
spores.
to be conscious
Oh
and
yeah.
be conscious of like you start seeing the specs in the video game, you're like, oh shit, gotta put my gas mask on.
Yeah.
Especially when you're playing other characters than Ellie.
Yeah. Yep. No, I agree. Well, and that I would think that's also because as time progresses, the spores are probably expanding further across, the earth.
Hmm.
So there's that. Um,
You'll definitely love episode. I think it's episode two. They do something different from the game, but it's like
oh, I don't
It's
like it
like,
when they go away from the game.
but it's actually works. It's like Game of Thrones-ish
Okay. Okay.
of like a big
Hey,
battle.
and what's her face is from Game of Thrones. So, well, both of them are.
Yeah, Bella Ramsey.
Yeah, and so is the lead or what's his name?
Oh, Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal.
That was the most gruesome death. I was literally
I turned away.
I literally was laying in bed, like, okay,
Oh,
that's when I was like binge watching, everyone telling me to watch it. And I was watching that episode. It was going to be my last one before bed. And when I saw the death
mistake.
scene, I was like, how can I go to sleep now?
Yeah, I on it. If I'm being honest, I turned away because you see it starting and you're like, I know it's gonna happen. I can't because we've talked about this. Gore is just like not my thing. So if something gets too gory like that, then I'm like, I get the point. I know what's gonna happen. I don't need to watch it happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'll still watch season 2 of Last of Us. Because even if it's not as good as season 1, it's probably still I think it was top 5 or top 6 for seasons this year, but I'll and Colleen watched that and liked season 1, so I'm sure she's gonna want to watch it too. So
Yeah, like I said, it's not terrible, but like I said, there's slow moments, and especially after is it season or episode, it's early on where what happens. Then it's kind of like, okay, we're kind of like dragging our feet here because I think I watched a few episodes with Peterson. He just would at the end, he just looked at me and just like shook his head like that wasn't in the game or they changed that from the game. So
also Petey was seeing it too. Ugh.
yeah,
Stick to the games, man. That's what I want. Because
and I
like,
wonder if they were like thinking, well, maybe the viewers they've already played the game. We got to try to change it up a little bit.
I mean, I'm sure that's probably their logic. Like, and their argument's going to be like, well, it's not the game. This is our perspective of the story. It's like, oh, okay, I get that. But like, for instance, with Jedi Survivor or Fallen Order, I want that. I want to see that story again, but I don't necessarily want to invest all that time to play the game again.
Mhm.
I want to get the story that I can like binge watch. That's what the shows need to do. Like if the show is like, all right, we're gonna take, we'll say Last of Us. Well, season 1 will be the first game, just expanded over X amount of episodes. Like I'll play the game and then be like, okay, if I want that story again, I'll just go watch the show and I'll continue to watch the show and not, play the game. that's how I would want a video game show to be like. But that's just my personal opinion. I don't know about you. I'm sure a lot of people like to go back and actually play the games again, but I
I
just
wonder
don't
if it's
have.
just like a conflict of like, so there's so much of the gameplay, like gameplay where you see cutscenes.
Mhm.
If you were to consolidate all that cutscenes down, it's like the game was made to be played.
Yeah,
So like I said, there's all these other scenes in the game where you're like, okay, you're in this area, and you had to get around like either the clickers, the scars, or
yeah,
uh, whatever they want, guys, the wolves, like trying to manipulate your way, but then you're trying to take them out and be silent. There's like a lot of that kind of stuff in the game where I think the show was not trying to like, oh, that's 20 minutes of just watching clickers get killed. Like
right,
then it's a little overkill. You just want more story.
right. No, that
So
makes sense.
So I wonder if they kind of run into that conflict where I say when you're watching a show and you're like, I don't remember that being in the game,
Yeah.
but it's probably stuff they needed to add to have more filler to fill out these episodes.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Um, yeah, I for like Jedi Fallen Order or Jedi Survivor, I do like that people will like create YouTube videos where they essentially just put together all the like cut scenes
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they'll throw some action. It's like, okay, well, at least I can go to that and get the general idea of the story by just rewatching that again. So
the only problem with that, like especially like Jedi Fallen Order or Survivor, like if you're like having like a boss fight, you get the cutscene of like the intro, and
yeah,
then you get and then the next cutscene is the end defeating. So it's like, well, then just make that like a lightsaber battle. You know what I
right.
mean? Like an extended lightsaber battle.
Yep. Well, and some people will include like some of the elements of the fight. So what they'll do is they'll use the like easiest like the story mode for the game, which is like the easiest difficulty level.
Yeah.
So like only a few like hits will essentially kill them. So then that way it like you're not spending a lot of time on the fight. So they'll do that and include elements of at least fighting the main bosses and whatnot into their YouTube video. So you're getting that. So to your point, you're not getting a cutscene of them like squaring off, and then all of a sudden they're dead or something like
Yeah.
that. So because that would be a little weird. But
But yeah,
all
if they're
right,
able to, yeah, if they're able to edit like that, then props to them. I know I
yeah,
wouldn't have the patience to do that.
no, I wouldn't either. So that's why I'm glad other people do it. So then I can use that for my entertainment and not have to put the effort into it.
Yeah,
Because
right.
again, I don't even want to invest the time in playing the game again because it just takes hours on hours and hours. And
Yeah, it's a commitment, and you don't want to also not play it for like a week or two, and then be like, ah, where did I leave off again?
yeah, and I'd rather just play another game so I can get another story instead
Hmm.
of playing the same one over and over again. So, all right, well, we're beyond midnight now, so I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Um, I said we were gonna keep it short, and actually we did pretty decent. We got not an hour as our last few have been, but we got I think 45 minutes or something like that. Uh
Anything more from
yeah,
Ryan?
no, he didn't
No.
respond back. Sorry, Ryan. Sorry that we didn't or not we. I didn't see your messages until later. Um, but I appreciate you chiming in. And we're gonna get you on one of these days. I was talking to him and he's like, as long as I have an agenda ahead of time, then he would be willing to come on and talk. And I think we can get Peterson as well. So if all four of us can get on, I think that'd be a lot of fun and we can talk some Star Wars.
Yeah, and like you said, especially if we can get something ahead of time to like the group of like, okay, we plan on talking about
Maybe we
this,
do that
this,
with
this.
Spaceballs.
I bet they would join.
Everybody watch Spaceballs, and then we're gonna talk about Spaceballs. All right. Well, I will wrap it up for today. Again, if you're listening to us, hit that subscribe button, like this video, rate, review, comment, all the above. We greatly appreciate it. We will have a prize giveaway at 200 subs, so you're not going to want to miss it. And you're definitely not going to want to miss when we reach 500 and we'll give away a big prize. Um, you can probably see, I'm giving an indication of what that prize is going to be. You see it on my walls, you might see it on the ground over here. You might be getting something that lights up and you can fight with. So that would be at 500 subscribers. So just dropping that out there. But yeah, we just finished up Tales of the Underworld. Bogey's going to watch some Tales of the Empire, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about that next time. But, content in terms of Star Wars movies, shows, we're going to be running thin for a little while. So we have Vision still this year, and then next year is when we'll get more things. So we'll find things to talk about, and looking forward to talking more Star Wars next week. But until then, have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week. And as always, well, before I say that, I have to give a quick call out. How badass is this thing?
That's awesome.
It's hard to, so it's Darth Vader's helmet, but he's wearing like this hoodie. He's got Nike shoes. So one of my softball teammates, he 3D printed this, and he's like, I know exactly who I'm going to give this to. So he gave it to me, and I think this thing is pretty bad. I used AI on TikTok and make him move and stuff like that. It's freaking sweet. So, anyway, sorry for that little tangent. Had just gonna give that call out. But again, have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week, and we look forward to talking to you guys next week. So as always, may the force be with you.